going to share with you the marriage pyramid. What is this? This is exactly how, in my experience and in books that I've read, I've discovered that more people are struggling in their marriage than those who are really enjoying their marriage. So I want to share with you, you need to figure out where you are on this pyramid and make up your mind to move towards the top of it. You don't want to stay at the bottom of the pyramid, but there's no problem. Wherever you are, you can always move up. You can always move up. So people who are married, but they're hopeless in their marriage, they're hopeless. They have little hope that things can be changed. If this is you, you're somebody that you have told your spouse about the problems they have in their lives. Maybe they're having problems. They're not listening to you. They're problem with finances. They're problem with their spiritual walk. They have problems with the way they speak and so many things that they're doing wrong. You see those and you have been telling them they should make changes for years. Usually at this stage, the people, they think the marriage is over. They've been doing this for years, many times 10 years, sometimes 15, 20 years. They've been trying to make a difference, and they know that there's nothing anybody can do that will make their spouse change, but they have also made up their mind that their spouse has to change for them to have a good marriage. And so right now there's really nothing they can do. So that's the people that are in the hopeless stage here. They're just hopeless with their marriage. The other group are like them, but they have not waited long enough. They still have one or two things that they think will change. So thinking maybe when my spouse gets a better job, maybe when we have some more money, maybe when we move to another town, maybe when we move out of the home of our in-laws, maybe when we have a child, maybe when our children go to university, they still have something that makes them have some hope. So they are waiting. Now, these people in this category, there's something that characterizes them, which is the fact that they have put the reason for them not being happy on something outside of them. They have put it outside of them. And if you are in this state, the reason why you think you're not happy in your marriage, the reason why you think you're not happy in your home is because of somebody did something, some situations are happening, and it's out of your control. Then you will be in this situation because you can't control them. You can't control your spouse. You can't control the situation. And so there's no hope that it will be changed except if God just intervenes. And so those who are waiting are still waiting on God to intervene. But others who have been praying for years have made up their mind that God maybe doesn't want to do this. And they've given up. And those are the ones that are in the hopeless category. And usually they will not be listening or watching this video, except they're in the waiting one. The waiting people still try to watch this video because they think that if they watch more videos, they may find someone that will give them some thoughts on how to still influence or change their spouse. Most people in this category would not. They will not do that because they have given up hope on any change happening. Then there's the next group of people, those who are struggling. So here, people who have made up their mind that this marriage can be okay, and so they postponed working on the marriage, and because they postponed working on themselves, working on the marriage, their spouse who has been complaining has given up on it. I'm not doing this anymore. So imagine those who are in a struggling state. Remember we talked about those who are in a hopeless state. So when the person who is in the hopeless state gets very fed up with the whole thing, they may decide that I'm not interested anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I can stand on my own. So usually when a person is struggling in a marriage and they complain, they will try to work on themselves and become independent, sort of. So when they become a little bit independent, they will just make up their mind that I don't want to be in this marriage anymore. And when they do that, the other spouse will wake up and they become those are another group of struggling people. But in this situation, they know that they have weaknesses, so they're not just projecting the problem to the other. They know that they have problems and they want to work. You want to work on yourself. You want to do whatever it takes to move forward, so you have hope. But at this time, your spouse is not willing to hear anything, or sometimes they just got disconnected and they found somebody else. But you know that this marriage should be kept, And those are the people in the struggling stage. They've moved forward in the sense that they're no more just relaxed thinking that the other person is a problem. They want to do something about it. So those are the people in the struggling stage. There are not as many as those that are in the hopeless or waiting. When people get married the first couple of years, they just stay in the waiting. I've seen from my experience, all the people that I've talked to, within a year of getting married, something does happen that makes you think, wow, what did I do? Did I make the right choice? And that's when the waiting begins for many. And when they waited for maybe 5, 6, 7 years, depends on their patience tolerance, the amount of understanding they have about scriptures, the longer they can wait. Some people can wait for 10 years, 15 years, and then they just get fed up and say, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not just gonna do this. This is too much for me, and that's what triggers the other spouse to be in the struggling state. And then there's the drifting. Those who are drifting apart. So both of them, choose two people that are married. They know the Lord. They love the Lord. They have grown in their walk with God to a point, but they are still selfish, kind of. But they're not depending on each other for love or for joy. They depend on God in a way, but also they are depending on themselves, and so they feel a little bit confident and a little bit proud, and because of that, they begin to drift apart. They begin to drift apart because both of them are confident, they're proud in what they're doing, and they don't remember that they need to do that extra work to enroll each other in what they're doing. So they begin to drift apart. Now, when people drift apart, they can eventually break up. At any level, people break up. Any of the two levels below, a lot of divorce happen. It can happen when you're struggling. It can happen when you're drifting, and it usually happens the most when you're hopeless. When you're waiting, usually it doesn't get to divorce. Waiting always transitions to hopeless before divorce will happen. But it can happen when you're struggling or when you're drifting. And these are the people that come most to me for help. Those who are struggling or drifting, because they know that there's a hope. There's something that needs to be done. And when they know that something needs to be done, they want help to get that done. So those who are drifting are those who are kind of okay. So when I talk with you, you will say, yes, I'm happy with my job. I have my church and I love the Lord. I do things, my spiritual things, but really I'm not doing well in my marriage. My husband or my wife doesn't talk much with me. I don't really understand what they're struggling with. And usually in this drifting stage, sexual infidelity can come in. All kinds of things can come in. Financial stress. People begin to spend money in ways that they're not supposed to. They come in. Debt and all sorts of things can come into this and really bring a lot of shaking into the marriage. And this is one of the reasons why people that have been together for a long time break up, because they drifted for long. That's one of the big reasons they drifted. And another one is the waiting. Some people wait for 10 years and it breaks. I'm sharing all of this so that you can find where you are in this pyramid and make up your mind to take the steps that is required. Once you find that you're in any of these stages, either hopeless, you just don't have any hope for your marriage anymore, or for some reason you're waiting and you're realizing right now that you don't need to keep waiting and you want to move forward. If you were waiting and you choose to move forward, what's going to happen is that you begin to build yourself and you begin to work on how to get your marriage to the right place. You may struggle for a while, but after you've struggled for a while, you start growing. You know your weaknesses and you know the weaknesses of your spouse. So when you get to the growing stage, you are not just throwing blame out. You've realized that you have yours and they have theirs, and you also have accepted that they may not change much. But you've decided that whether they change or not, you're gonna have a great life. And you also believe that if you keep living your life the way God calls you to live it, then they may be inspired to move up. But you've chosen to stay with them. You've gotten a coach to help you with your weaknesses. So at this stage where the person is in the growing stage, they have help. They recruited help. And you know you will inspire your spouse. So you're not just getting help for yourself, you're also getting help on how to help your spouse. This is the key. You're not getting just help for yourself. You're also getting help on how to inspire, how to trigger the right things in your spouse instead of triggering the wrong ones. And you've decided to live fully as a love being, and you enjoy the life that God has given you. If you have two people living like this, you're bound to have a very, very good marriage. If just one person is living like this, it depends on where the other person is. If the other person is really at the bottom, still looking for blame, because there's no way, you, no matter how much you grow, if someone is looking for ways to blame you, they're going to find it. And so if one person continues to grow and the other person is still in the blame state, it's, you're still going to struggle, but we can teach you what to do. Usually at that time, you need to jack them up and wake them up and get them into the struggling stage. And to do that, you have to tell them that, you know what, if you don't want to stay because you continue to do this thing, I'm gonna have to pull myself apart. I'm gonna have to let you go on your own for a while. Of course, you shouldn't use this statement that I've just made to make a decision. I would suggest that you do that with a coach so that you can know exactly what to say to trigger the right actions. We're not trying to destroy the marriage, we're trying to trigger the person who is still in the hopeless or waiting stage to wake up and begin to struggle. And struggle doesn't mean, it's not a bad thing, and it means that you're making effort but you're not getting the kind of results. So you need to be making effort. That's what I want to say there. And then of course those who are in the happy or blissful state, that's where I want to get every one of us to. You're both growing, so you have a spouse that is growing as well. You've been able, by the grace of God and by prayer, to trigger that transformation in them, so they're growing, they're moving towards God, and they're moving towards you. There's a growth, and you feel that you know the inner thoughts of your spouse, and they know yours too. You know that your spouse cares for you. You care for them as well. You know they're happy and you want to be around each other. When you have disputes, you have your ways of resolving them quickly and effectively. Not that I don't think it's possible for two people to be married and not have disputes from time to time, but they will not degenerate into big things. There will be disagreements, and you will know how to resolve them very quickly and easily. And you, when you think about the future, you're happy. You know that you'll grow old together. God's by God's grace, you look forward to your future together. You are not dreading the that the future will be worse, because the seeds that are being sown are good seeds.